Hello and welcome to Right Decisions. I'm Tammy Moore Johnson, your host. It is my pleasure to come in your homes weekly with a show that's created to provide tools for success. We have looked previously at the topic of conflict management. Today I would like to revisit the topic of conflict with more of a focus with conflicts within the family. The immediate family is the core of society. If we don't have thriving and healthy families, we will not have a thriving society. Marriage is one of life's greatest challenges, and so many couples give up before actually applying some effective conflict resolution skills. Here to help me discuss the topic of handling family conflicts are William Bullard, pastor of Vine Church in Groovetown, Georgia, and Lindsay Blair Simmons from LB Simmons Consultant. Welcome to both of you, and thank you for discussing this topic with me.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Let's start out talking about why is marriage one of life's greatest challenges?
You know, I think you take two people with different past histories, different needs, different wants, different desires, even as compatible as you can be, it's inevitable that couples are going to disagree. And a lot of us were never taught by our own families how to disagree effectively, how to disagree with respect and with love, and how to compromise. And so I think it's inevitable, and unfortunately a lot of couples get very scared to deal with conflict, and they sort of run from it.
I think sometimes they get into marriage and they think it's supposed to be perfect. This is my soulmate.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be arguing. We shouldn't do this or have a disagreement. Not argue, but have a disagreement. What do you say, William, about that?
Well, I got married when I was 21. Okay, so we were thrown into marriage. Never read any books, never studied, never did any research. Okay, my wife came from a great home. I came from a home where there was divorce. So I brought hurt and I brought baggage into our marriage.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so it took me years and years to find out what is it all about.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
then sometimes when people grow up and their parents are divorced, isn't it true that that's how they think they deal with conflict? It's like, okay, you know, I don't have to put up with this. I'm out of here.
Absolutely. You know, there was a study done very recently that 89% of what children learn is through observation.
Wow.
So if you saw your parents fight in a certain way, you assume that that's normal. And unfortunately, successful conflict resolution is a skill to be built, as is communication. And so if we're not teaching our children, then unfortunately they're not really learning anywhere.
I like that.
What are some ways, how can we teach our children, or how can first we learn as adults or as married couples how to deal with conflict within the family?
I would say make an appointment with Lindsay and go see her, and everything will be all right.
Everything will be perfect.
And you know, the truth is, we go through, you know, like I pastor a church, okay? And you know what? It's so easy to think you have all the answers, okay? You give marriage counseling, and the whole time you're dying inside.
Absolutely.
So who can you talk to? Who can you go and trust to deliver your soul? I think that all of us live with a hole in our soul, and we do everything we can to fill that up. We need somebody to coach us.
I agree. I think that the number one thing we need to not do is avoid. We have to deal with the conflicts that arise. There was another study out that says the number one reason couples divorce is the avoidance of issues.
Wow.
They don't know how to manage conflict, and so they just run from it. So I think seeking out people that can help you, seeking out shows such as this to learn skills and new tips for it is the number one thing that we need to do, is admit there's a problem. We did not learn how to manage conflict effectively, so let's address it and try to figure out how to do it.
Get some education on how to deal with conflict. What are some of the skills? So first you seek out the information, then you apply it.
Absolutely.
Is it easier said than to be done to apply? I mean, you know, you having a heated argument.
I think it's like practice is probably the best way. It's like anything else in life. You can't expect to be great at it the first time, but you can expect to get better at it as long as you continue working at it and educating yourself.
I agree. I've been married 40 years. Same lady.
Congratulations.
40 years.
That's outstanding.
I'm 39 years old. So anyway, but you know, are you ready for this? You know, the greatest things that has helped me personally is I have periodic sessions with a psychologist, and I get to go and just, you know, and then my wife goes and she has people she can talk to as well. So I think this is interesting. An argument is this: two people get in one conversation and neither one have the answer. Okay, so I need to work on me I don't need to work on her. I need to work on me. Okay?
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we try to fix stuff. We really don't know what we're doing.
That's right.
Lindsay, do you agree?
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. I think sort of jumping off of that, when we come into an argument assuming either that we are right or that there is a right or a wrong, that there's a black and a white, that's where we get really stuck. A lot of times in therapy sessions with my clients, I'm just helping them see that there is gray.
Right.
There are so many options.
Yeah.
If you can follow some healthy steps to get there and be creative together, it's almost like uniting a couple against the problem as opposed to against one another.
I do like that. So would they at home, I heard before that they schedule a time, because you're going to have disagreement. So why not schedule a time where you sit down and you talk about, okay, is there something bothering you? Do you all agree with that?
First of all, there's a principle. Do not let the sun go down upon your wrath.
Yes, yes.
So, you know, we have little arguments, that kind of thing, and we have an agreement. And my wife can go to a movie by herself and get some popcorn, M&Ms, and sit there and watch a movie and enjoy it. And then I get to go take a drive. So that's why I'm on the road all the time. No, I'm teasing. So I think you just have to come up with some things, you know, just learn how to back off. You know, learn. Words are part of the conflict. So I think we need to learn how to speak to each other.
Yes, and a big piece of that is not allowing our anger to flood us. What science tells us is that it takes at least 30 minutes for those adrenal levels and cortisol levels to come down. So when we're in the heat of the moment and we're angry, we need to take some space, knowing that there's a time to come back. We call it a timeout. We leave, but we know that we're going to come back at an appointed time to a safe, special place that we've decided we're going to use for our conflict.
I do like that. You know, and I've been working with my children. There's a scripture that say, be slow to speak, slow to offend or get offended, and slow to anger. And hopefully I said it right. Or quick to listen. Slow to speak, quick to listen, and slow to get offended. So, in other words, like you said, if there's an argument or if you're angry about something, be slow to speak. Don't say anything. I mean, that's just a good practice that we can give to our families, is that take that time away until, like you said, your levels come down.
And you can actually think clearly. You are incapable of thinking clearly during those first 30 minutes. It's impossible. So let's use that knowledge to our advantage.
I like that.
Take some space and come back when we can. Speak with respect, speak in I statements, and explain our needs and wants with kindness towards one another.
You know, I'm laughing because what if it takes longer than 30 minutes? You're just so angry.
Then you shoot a quick text and say, I need an extra 30. and you have that respect with your spouse to say, okay, out of respect to the other one, we'll push this back another half hour.
Okay, and then so we're going to talk about after they have that time, what do they need to do at that point? But I need to take a quick break. Be right back.
There are two big mistakes you or a family member can make buying Medicare supplement insurance. One, choosing the wrong plan. There are many choices and they can be confusing. You need a knowledgeable professional to help select the right plan for you. Two, paying too much. The Medicare benefits of each plan are the same, no matter which insurance company you choose, but the cost can vary tremendously, which is why you need SelectQuote Senior. An experienced SelectQuote professional will carefully explain the pros and cons of each plan. Then, impartially shop a select group of highly rated insurance companies like these to help find your best rate. Get the expertise and savings SelectQuote is known for.
Just call 1-800-401-3641, 1-800-401-3641. SelectQuote Senior. We shop, you save.
You may have an event that you would like to announce, or if you are a business that would like to get your information to the public, consider advertising with Right Decisions. Right Decisions is aired on the Fox network in the following counties: Richland, Calhoun, Lexington, Fairfield, Kershaw, Saluda, Lee, Sumter, Clarendon, Orangeburg, and Newberry. That's a total of 11 counties that can hear your message. Beyond reasonable rates and wide market opportunity, help impact the communities with a premise to make right decisions by supporting the program's platform. For more information, call 803-348-6517.
When Bob got into the accident, I was terrified. His injuries were so severe, but once we knew he was going to be okay, what then?
I couldn't go back to work for a long time, and we got way behind on our bills.
We'd hired an attorney, but when our case kept dragging on, we didn't know how we were going to get by. Thankfully, our attorney knew about Oasis Legal Finance.
Oasis looked at our case, and before our case was settled, they got us the money.
The very next day.
At first, I wasn't so sure. What if we lost the case? How would we be able to pay back Oasis? But then I found out if we did lose, we wouldn't have to pay them back, so there was no risk in doing it. No risk.
There are no out-of-pocket costs and no payments until your case is settled. If you lose your case, you don't have to repay Oasis. There's no risk. Call Oasis now to see how much money you can get before your case settles.
Call now, 1-800-826-0801. 1-800-826-0801.
Welcome back to Right Decisions. We're talking about handling family conflict. So before we left for the break, you were saying that people need to take time, 30 minutes, if they need more, fine, to not discuss it because they might be angry. After they've taken that time, then what is the next strategy? What can we tell them?
You go. I'll follow you.
Well, there are a lot of strategies, but I think there are a couple things that are the most important. Number one, speak from I. In my practice, I call them crossovers when we say, well, you always. And the moment we do that, and this has again been researched, a person's defensiveness and levels of cortisol in their body start to escalate. So we speak from I, we use I statements. I would like it if, I need, I feel. Those sort of words lower defensiveness, allow us to start to listen. The other partner needs to employ active listening. They need to actually hear what the person's saying and repeat back what it is they heard.
Okay.
So much of conflict resolution is actually just feeling heard. You may not fully agree, but if you feel heard, what it does is it softens people's hearts and allows them to be more amenable to actually compromising. I want clients to be creative with new ideas that they can come up with, and you can't do that when you're angry and defensive.
Wow.
I know earlier you talked about in the break that it's dealing with people, just like you said. So they need to feel heard. When you deal with conflict management, people need to feel like they're being heard.
I think you have to want to have your marriage. I think you lose your desire, you're in trouble.
Okay, so how can people lose their desire? What it's just that, they don't deal with the conflict?
I think one word, selfishness.
Yes, selfishness.
If I'm selfish, okay, and it's all about me, then I'm not thinking it's all about her. Okay? Does that make sense?
It makes good sense, yeah.
What do you think about that?
I agree, and I think part of that selfishness is avoiding conflict because it's hard. I think it's very selfish to avoid dealing with an issue just because it makes you uncomfortable. And I see that all the time in my practice.
Wow.
I totally agree with you.
So I think a word here is skill. Attorneys go to law school. Doctors go to medical school. Therapists go to therapy school.
We do.
Pastors go to pastors
Right.
training. Okay, what do we do about this? How are we studying marriage? Okay, so guess what? We're not skilled. We're not skilled in being a husband or being a wife. And so we're thrown into the marriage. We have children. We have jobs, finances, all kinds of situations come up, and we don't stop and get trained.
Either one of you know the statistics as far as how many with married couples go and get some help or some type of skills that you're talking about? I mean, I've heard one time that it takes a certain amount of time, like you just said, you get a license to drive, even that you have to take a test.
Yeah.
But when you go get a license to get married, you just go down and the courthouse or what have you and sign and that's it.
Right.
But do they actually, on their own, do you know the percentage of people who really invest in learning about how to deal with your spouse?
It's not many.
Is there a statistic?
I don't know the statistic. What I can tell you, the statistics that I am a little more familiar with, is those who do go through a premarital therapy or marriage therapy early in their relationship, it's off the charts how much better they do and how much more satisfied they are in their marriages.
Absolutely.
And I've seen those couples in my office. It's incredible to walk in to a marriage with that confidence that we know how to handle this conflict. Doesn't mean we're going to do it perfectly, but we at least have a roadmap to follow.
Because sometimes you can even know what to do, but because of that selfishness, you may not do it.
Exactly.
You know, you might come to the table and say, okay, we're going to talk about this. We've had our time away, but then you still don't apply all the things. Or you might let the sun go down on your wrath, which we know that the Bible says don't let that happen, and that, you know, so it takes a lot. It takes getting over yourself and say, I'm going to do the right thing for this relationship because I made that commitment.
Exactly.
And I guess that's why they call it the greatest life challenge, because you got to really die. You got to forsake all others and just, you know, be in it for the long haul. Through good and bad, to death do us part.
You know,
Right.
you know, take the sun going down. Okay, I think when a husband and wife are sensitive to that principle, if they both are sensitive to it, and they both are skilled in it and trained in it, if there's a conflict, then they may wake up during the night and say, you know what, hey, before I went to bed, I forgot to ask, would you forgive me? You know,
Absolutely.
I think 3 things we should learn to say. One is, I'm sorry. One is, you're right, I'm wrong. And then, will you please forgive me? And not if I've offended you, because if means grudgingly. But it's no, if I really know I've offended you, then I really know what I need to ask forgiveness of.
Absolutely. One of the ways that I try to employ exactly what you're saying
Wow.
in dealing with conflict is making each partner tell what they've contributed to the problem. Whether it's an attitude or a behavior. How have you contributed to this conflict being an issue? We are so good at blaming the other person that it's very disconcerting, and it forces people to sort of step back, look inwardly, and that's something that sometimes people, I'll encourage them to do during their half hour.
Wow.
Is think about, how did I contribute to this
I
problem?
like that. That's a good tip.
And it takes the selfishness and sort of dissipates that out if people can get there.
Yeah.
Right.
I think one of the greatest things in marriage therapy is the Dairy Queen.
The what?
Dairy Queen. That's why they have ice cream cones. You can go down, and when you got a conflict, just go get you an ice cream cone. You know, the kind they dip in chocolate?
Makes everything better, doesn't it?
It's unbelievable.
You know what? And you mentioned something else during the break about that kissing piece. But what I'm going to do is take another break, and we come back. We're going to tell them what else they can do to make it better, okay?
Wow.
We'll be right back.
When Bob got into the accident, I was terrified. His injuries were so severe, but once we knew he was going to be okay, what then?
I couldn't go back to work for a long time, and we got way behind on our bills.
We had hired an attorney, but when our case kept dragging on, we didn't know how we were going to get by. Thankfully, our attorney knew about Oasis Legal Finance.
Oasis looked at our case, and before our case was settled, they got us the money.
The very next day.
At first, I wasn't so sure. What if we lost the case? How would we be able to pay back Oasis? But then I found out if we did lose, we wouldn't have to pay them back. So there was no risk in doing it. No risk.
There are no out-of-pocket costs and no payments until your case is settled. If you lose your case, you don't have to repay Oasis. There's no risk. Call Oasis now to see how much money you can get before your case settles.
Call now, 1-800-826-0801. 1-800-826-0801.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Where's dinner?
Well, I thought you'd be home a couple of hours ago, and I put everything away. So
What is this? Pizza?
You had just called me. I would have known what...
Dinner ready is pizza.
Honey, please don't be so loud. Please don't... Let go of me!
Get in the kitchen!
No!
You want to see what hurts? That's what hurts! That's what hurts!
Oh, please!
For information, call 1-800-END-ABUSE.
Imagine being able to clear your breakouts fast with a revolutionary new acne treatment that's actually good for your skin. Announcing all-new Proactive Plus, the combination of acne medicine plus ultra-perfecting skincare. Television star Kristen Ritter calls it a miracle.
I love
the new Proactive Plus. It's fighting all my breakouts, and my skin is like porcelain.
The results are astonishing. Your skin is not only clear, but smooth and sexy. It's our smartest, fastest, most effective solution ever. And now, new skincare is in every step to balance acne-prone skin with needed hydration and more.
I have to tell you this is different. Just look at my before and after pictures. That doesn't lie.
So grab your phone and dial the number on your screen now, because today, shipping is free. And get 3 free gifts, a $96 value for just $29.95. Call now.
You will love your skin.
Welcome back to Right Decisions. We're talking about handling family conflicts. Now, William, before we left for the break, you were talking about the Dairy Queen to go get some ice cream. We'll just say in general, we don't want to emphasize just one store, but getting some ice cream with that. But you also talked about the kiss. You said you think part of the issues you think with marital couples is they don't kiss. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I've asked a lot of questions. Okay, so I'm not an expert on that.
Sure.
I promise you, okay, I do. Okay, what attracted you?
Yeah.
You know, whenever you're dating, okay? I mean, of course, a lot of people, you know, hopefully they'll even wait till they're married even to have that first kiss, okay?
Absolutely.
But nowadays that's foreign. I totally understand that. But I really think what got you stirred up in the beginning is what keeps you stirred up later. So therefore, you know, if you start out and you have a very, very passionate kiss, it's wonderful, okay? Just one kiss. That's all it took. Remember that? Just one, you know, or maybe it was just one look. That's all it took. And I just think that's important. Here's a guy. He's got an addiction to tobacco. His wife doesn't. So he's trying to kiss her, and hey, how you doing? Good thing, you know. And there's a conflict, but she won't even tell him maybe. So I just really think we need to go back to the simple things.
And I agree with that because it does create all kinds of emotion and things like that when you kiss. So far what we've told our viewers is that, number one, you need to take time away. You know, if there's a conflict, get some time to get yourself together, especially if you're angry, then come to the table and make sure you talk with each other. Now, and then also kiss. Make sure you kiss and ice cream. Sure, go ahead.
In other words, I think there needs to be times in your relationship that you really just kiss and don't go any further intimately. Okay? And do that. And then, of course, then have other times that, you know, you're intimate. Does that make sense?
It makes good sense because it's more than just all that. That's especially women. We need more of that affection piece with that. So let's talk about children because we said family conflict, and we know that that's good advice about the marriage and the couple because they're the core of it. Then you have your children. So how do we deal with conflict with, let's just say, parents in front of children, and then if there's a single parent with the children? Can you talk about that, Lindsay?
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, this is one of the questions I get all the time in my practice. Should we fight in front of the kids? How should we fight in front of the kids? Oh gosh, we had a huge fight in front of the kids. And you know, I think that this is a hot topic. I think when my parents were bringing me up, the idea was we don't fight in front of the kids. We fight behind closed doors. The problem is that my sister nor I ever learned how to effectively argue, how to manage conflict. And so again, we're thrown into these marriages without ever learning. The opposite side of that coin is parents who fight and sling mud and you know, terrible names, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's not teaching kids effective, healthy means of managing conflict. So it starts with the parents. You, as a parent, have to work on it. And whether you're a therapist or a pastor or whomever you are, you need to get help. I'm in therapy as well, and I have someone help me with my own marriage. Right? Absolutely. And then I think from there, how we handle that is teaching our children how they should handle it. Our children should see us apologize. They should see us ask for forgiveness. They should see us be humble and say, I was wrong. You were right. I am so sorry. And we're not always going to do it perfectly, but it is the perfect place for us to teach our kids how to do it right.
And I think we talked about scheduling time where the husband and wife talk, but also have a time where your children are there too and say, you know, is there something bothering you, or is there a conflict? And so that way it's scheduled, and that's how they're learning some of the effective conflict resolution. Don't you agree, William?
I think we need to have conferences, family conferences.
I love that.
We did that. We have children, ages 35 to 26. They're all married except one, and he's looking, okay? But when they were coming up, Tammy, we would sit at the table, you know, occasionally, And we'd go around the room, and we didn't ask, okay, did any of us offend each other? And we'd get them to do that. Today, my kids, I'm not kidding, they're so tight. It is so powerful to see. It brings a tear to my eye, okay? And they go back and they say, you know, Dad, thank you that you allowed us to vent. You know, I've asked them, okay? I asked my son, he's 31, I asked my son a couple years ago, have I done anything that I've overlooked that offended you? And you know what he told me? He said, now that you've asked, he said, when I was 17, 17 years of age, he said there was a conflict at school, and he said, you thought I was guilty, Dad. He said, I wasn't. And he said, I had resentment. And so we got that wall down, and it's amazing when you bring the walls down, the relationship you can have. You agree?
Yes,
Tom?
and I have to say, on the heels of successful conflict resolution is deeper intimacy than you could ever imagine.
Wow.
And I mean that in romantic relationships, but also in family relationships with friends, with relatives. Deeper intimacy than you could ever hope for.
Absolutely.
So we can't avoid it anymore.
Powerful.
I love that, and I'm gonna end on that note. That is, it calls for deeper intimacy.
Without a doubt.
So yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it, you all.
Thank you.
Managing conflict and applying effective conflict resolution skills can make the difference between positive and negative outcomes. When conflict is mismanaged, it can cause great harm to a relationship. But when handled in a respectful, positive way, conflict provides an opportunity to strengthen the bond between two people. By learning skills for conflict resolution, you can keep your personal relationships strong and growing. As Jimmy Evans from Marriage Today says, a good marriage takes work. Soulmates are made in the trenches when two committed believers come together and roll up their sleeves and fight for their relationship. Don't give up. Hang on in there. It gets better. Our objective, Right Decisions, is to leave you with tools and strategies to make your life successful. At Right Decisions, we just don't want you to prosper here on earth. We want you to prosper eternally as well. There's no right decision without making the best and ultimate decision all times. That is making Jesus Christ your Lord. If you do not know Christ as your Lord and personal Savior, I encourage you to do so right now. Just simply believe with your heart that Jesus died for you and confess out loud Jesus your Lord and Savior. Now, when He returns, you'll be able to join Him. Thank you for tuning in to Right Decision, a show with a positive message. If you'd like to contact me, email me at tuesdaymakerightdecisions@gmail.com. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye for now.